We've talked about how aldosterone works. It acts on cells lining the collecting tubule. So here is a collecting tubule lined by cells. And so what aldosterone does is it comes along in a capillary over here in the blood. And of course the capillary is lined by endothelial cells like this. And aldosterone comes along and it diffuses easily into these cells over here. It's able to do that because it's a steroid. And once it's in the cell, it interacts with some other molecules there, such as this one. And these elements acting together cause a change in transcription in the cell's nucleus. So here's the nucleus, and these factors together are able to change transcription. And so the result is you get more sodium channels in the membrane of the cell there. But in your blood, we've already learned that you already have something else floating around called cortisol. So here are some cortisol hormones. And they are also able to diffuse into these cells here because they're also steroid hormones. And quite shockingly, these cortisol molecules are able to interact with the same elements as aldosterone is. And because of that, they're able to have the same effects on transcription that aldosterone is. And so they will also cause more sodium channels to be placed in the membrane there. And this is no good because it makes it harder for aldosterone specifically to control sodium balance in your body, because now cortisol has the same exact effect. And so the way that your kidney keeps this from happening is that it actually converts this cortisol into something else called cortisone. And cortisone is basically an inactive version of cortisol. And so in particular, while cortisol can bind to that element there, cortisone cannot. And so cortisone is not going to cause sodium channels to go into the membrane there. And it's actually quite interesting. It's here in the kidney that an enzyme converts cortisol to cortisone, but elsewhere in the body where you prefer cortisol to cortisone, because cortisol is more effective, the body will convert cortisone back into cortisol. And in case you were wondering, this enzyme here has a horrible name. It's called 11-beta-hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase. But let's just call it the enzyme that converts cortisol to cortisone. Now the disease we're going to talk about occurs when there's a mutation in this enzyme here that prevents the kidney from converting cortisol to cortisone. So let's try to figure out what the effects would be.